welcome back everybody to the Reinvent Hunt podcast. I'm Josh from Purple Point Outdoors. We have a pretty awesome episode coming up tonight talking about the water buffalo hunt. My dad and I went on last Friday with a whole lot of chaos and also a lot of fun hunting. But Brian, how you doing?
Good. How about yourself?
Doing well. I see you have something new from Spy Point there. I'm interested in.
Yeah, we just got these in today. These are hot off the press. These are the new Spy Point SPLB 10. It's a smaller solar panel than the SPLB that they had last year.
Okay.
This one is max power of 5 watts, I guess is what it is. The bigger ones are max
Sweet.
power of 10. I've used the bigger ones since they've come out. And as I've mentioned before, I have 2 of the original ones that have never come out of the woods, and I've never had to charge them.
That's
These
impressive.
these ones are a little bit smaller. So I'm interested to get them charged up, get them hooked up to some Link M's,
Sure.
and get those out. So little.
Now, do you use those with the lithium ion rechargeable battery pack in Spy Points? Is that what it is?
No, I in fact, if it's anything like the larger panels, whenever you go to set your camera up, you do not put any batteries in the battery tray.
Really?
Yep.
Okay.
Because that solar panel has a lithium battery you charge for 24 hours, and then it will pick up ambient light. If you put it in direct sunlight, like I said, they last forever.
That's cool.
And so like I said, I remember doing the very first one that I got with the solar panel, going over the video and stuff like that they had on YouTube. They highly recommended you didn't run any backup batteries in the tray or anything, just because you had enough power in that. And like I said, my bigger ones constantly stay at about 87%. And that's even running on video and sending videos.
That's flipping awesome.
All the time. So we'll see. These are, like I said, they're a little bit smaller. So again, they'll be a little bit easier to hide.
Yeah.
And everything. And these ones are black. The other ones were gray. And they come with a little screw-in holder for them, so you can adjust them and so you can keep them in sunlight all the time. But yeah, it's going to get hooked up to a Flex M pretty shortly as we're getting.
That's awesome.
Getting closer to the season. So
I'll tell you what, being a Spy Point ambassador this year, I know you've been there for a long time now, and what an awesome trail cam company with all the accessories, the easy use. Everybody out there, check them out. We're gonna have them back on. Probably have Kenny back on in 2 episodes, I believe, to do a part 2, because I know I got a monster Ohio buck in velvet the other day. Like last week, I posted him, and he is a big old boy. He took a full frontal picture for us. And it's just it's like one of those pictures you want to like have the wall art done with. It's that beautiful. So I'm excited to get out and hunt that stand. We had a lot of bucks coming through that area for some reason. It's like a little honey hole, so it'll be fun.
Yeah, it's that time of year. The velvet's putting on its last little bit.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Bless you.
And it's kind of funny. Another 30 days they'll be they'll be peeling, and we'll still have a month after that. We don't start until October, but
okay, yeah, we're in September.
Things will start ramping up and things will start getting exciting.
I'll start seeing those Kentucky velvet giants falling here pretty soon, and I'm always envious of guys going down and being able to harvest those. So it'd be a fun dream. That'd be a dream for me. I'm sure right for you too.
Well, I've been down there for the Kentucky opener in velvet. Never saw a buck in velvet, but definitely a good time. I always have an open invitation at a buddy's place to go down. So
that's cool.
If I have time, I mean, it's nice. You can hunt Saturday, Sunday, Monday, because it's always on the weekend of Labor Day.
Okay.
So you can
have some time.
Get that Monday in. But yeah, you're sometimes dealing with, you hunt for the first 2 hours of the morning, the last 2 hours of the day, because it's just brutal hot.
Blazing hot.
Mosquitoes and all kinds of fun stuff. So
yeah, I can imagine. Box blind and it's 100 degrees. It's like a cookie sheet. So
yeah, it's just not fun. And you do get something, you got to get it out of the woods and skinned and cooled down ASAP. So yeah, I did kill a doe down there the first year I went down the one morning. like 42 yards,
That's a haul.
center
That's
punch
awesome.
to doe. So
That's
yeah,
cool. Well, it
I
sounds like kind of what I had going on this past Friday. I mean, it was hot in Southern Ohio. We went down to hunt this water buffalo, and yeah, the focus of this episode is going to be about that hunt. But we had, I would say, one of the most exciting hunts I've ever had because my dad was there with me, and then also, quite honestly, one of the most terrifying hunts that I learned a whole lot about. And having hunted doe my life and bow hunted, every time I go out, I learn more. I want to share with people tonight what I learned because I actually probably went through a little bit of PTSD from what happened. I'm kind of dealing with it even still when I sleep at night. I'm seeing some images and stuff I had to deal with in the hunt that I never thought I'd have to deal with, and I came probably about a foot to death. And she was going to pound me in the ground and just kill me. And we'll talk about that. But first initially, I just want to tell people out there, and I want you to jump in, Brian, when you have questions, because I have people question, why are you going to Southern Ohio to hunt a water buffalo, Josh? And there's a lot of reasons to that. Number one, I can get all the meat back. I don't usually have the opportunity to get the meat back that way. It's good, wholesome meat. It's one of the highest quality proteins in the world. And from what I hear, some of the best big game meat you can actually harvest out there. So number two, and number one, I got the meat. Number two, of course, testing the broadhead mechanical performance out of the bow I selected to shoot it with. And I'll talk about why I went with the crossbow. It was initially the Bear compound, and I had all set up for that. But I always take both in case situational, range comes into play or animals reacting or whatever, whatnot. But that was a situation I had to react pretty quick and choose, and I luckily chose a good thing. And then number three, I want to test broadhead performance on these massive animals yet again. So it's allowed me to do it close to home. It keeps my costs down. It is a tax write-off for us here at the company to do that, and also provide some super high quality meat to people, family, friends that I know, because we'll have way too much to use. So I'm gonna try to get some of you too out there in PA and try some water buffalo.
nice. Yeah, I've been to a few different places where I've guided hunts and have done some other stuff, and they've had water buffalo there. And my particular experience, they didn't tell me that there were water buffalo in there, and
Oh my
went
god!
up I went up to this one open big pasture, and there was a
Yeah.
pond there.
Yep.
And I was like, cool, I'm gonna go check out, see if like there's any fish in the pond. And as I got closer, I'm looking, I'm like, man, it's that just don't look right. Next thing I know,
Something's off.
I had these two gigantic water buffalo
Yeah.
racing out of the water, and
Oh my god.
I turned and hauled the male, back into the woodlot, into the wood line,
Yeah.
and got up on some rock encroachments. And you know, had I been another 20 yards closer, I wouldn't have made it.
Yeah, it's terrifying. I have never, I've been around the world hunting now, and I'll tell you, like Cape Buffalo by far probably the most dangerous, but I think the water buffalo was the most aggressive I've seen. The Cape buffalo tend to want to get away from you, and they'll set up a perimeter of males, and they'll tell you to back off.
Mm-hmm.
They'll warn you before they'll kill you. And of course, Cape buffalo when they take off, they stampede, and it sounds like thunder as their hooves are running across stuff, and they're just going through whatever they want to go through. But in my opinion, the water buffalo is the most reactive because they're an animal that, like, you don't know, like you said, you don't know what they're going to do, and all of a sudden they make a decision, bam, snap decision, and they're going to kill you. Like, they do not care what's happening. So I'll kind of walk through the hunt and just give you the spiel as to how it went. I put the video on for everybody, but basically we knew we were going to probably spot stalk. We could have been set up in a stand, but the water buffalo were moving around quite a bit. So we hiked up the trail. We got there about 9 o'clock in the morning. I had the crossbow loaded with a helicut, 125 grain mechanical helicut. I had a quiver full of helicuts, 125 grain, in the bear. So I had initially the bear in my hand. We got up to the top of the hill where the water hole was, like you said. Obviously, with water buffalo, they like that. So we got pretty close, and he's looking around for where they were and saw the hump, saw the backs up by the water hole. And he didn't want to get much further before he let me loose because he knew they were both there together. There were two of them. And he said one was a really big one, and he said just pick the bigger one out, and whatever you try to do, get a shot on it. And we were about 100 yards away at the time, and he said, it's your shot here. Well, the path was open; it was completely open. I had nowhere to hide other than like along the side where the tree line was. It was a cut path, a tractor path going up the hill. And I got like about 20 yards in with the vertical bow and realized they were antsy. They were watching, they were looking around, they were stopping, they were still. I was not going to break that distance down to get an effective, probably 40, probably I was hoping 30 yards and undershot with the vertical bow to get the penetration on an animal that size. It did not feel comfortable. I decided to switch to the Raven. So I switched out the Raven with Dad. He grabbed the bear. And I knew at that point I would be able to get a good shot and get position. So I got closer. I broke the distance down to 50, and I got behind a tree, and I had one coming at me. I knew it was a big one. And when it turned in an opening in front of me, completely broadside. And I knew that was my moment to decide what I wanted to do and put the shot there. So I ranged it twice, said exactly 50 or 49 is what it was. And so I had my safety off the Raven at that point in time, and I put it up. And you'll see in the video when I shot, there were some freaking little branches just kind of like prancing down through, hanging down in the shooting window. And I had to stand up a little bit higher to get an angle shot down above the branches because I knew I could see him there. The guy's like, whispered, "Watch the branches behind me." And I knew I didn't want to clip a branch with that bolt and get a clean shot. So when it stepped forward with its right foot, my dad said, "I knew what you're going to do," because he's like, I watched it take a step with its right foot and open up that corner way smokehouse right behind the shoulder. And as soon as it stepped forward, I settled the reticle for 50 right on it, and I had the safety off already. I took a breath, I slowly let out, and I knew it was just a perfectly slightly quarter way shot to get right through and smoke the opposite shoulder center mass. And I let go, and you'll see the video. You can hear the bolt take off, blew through the whole water buffalo, no issue. The broadhead was completely untouched. It actually, weirdly enough, it snapped the carbon R500 bolt. So I think it hit the opposite rib going out and deflected, and the bolt and like the actual carbon, the bolt snapped a little bit. The broadhead was perfectly fine. We found it after, but didn't react. It just like it. I knew it was hit hard. I knew it was hit well. Didn't react. It winced a little bit and stood there. Didn't know it hit it. It went through so fast, and then it walked 10 yards forward, put its head up, looked to the right, and kind of did one of these little things where its head went down and just slammed down. So in under 25 seconds, that water buffalo expired, and it was a big one. It was, I think, 34 and a half or 34 and 3/4 inches. I don't know. They measured. I don't really care about what it measured, but it's an awesome specimen. But then, I think the thing I learned from was the shot was great, harvest was great. It was exactly as it planned, and then came the chaos. And I think with hunting, you never expect this, but the first thing I did, Brian, was reload that R500 with that second bolt. So I automatically, just as a second nature thing when hunting, I'm reloading that thing for a follow-up shot, even if it's dead. You walk up to it, it's not quite dead, and that sort of thing. And then at that point, they called the tractor to come up because I'm sure you're familiar with, usually they'll bring a tractor over the front end loader, get the animal in it, and it's harvested, and then gut them and take them down, field dress them.
Mm-hmm.
So the tractor's coming up the path, and the guy's like, "Hey, watch that other water buffalo." And it was still hanging around mad because his buddy got shot, and it was by the edge of the pond. We parts the tractor. The water buffalo shakes its head, and it starts charging the tractor. And he gets off. The guy that's driving gets off that owns the farm, and it starts chasing him around the tractor. He gets back on the tractor, and we're off about 50 yards in the woods by this path. And all of a sudden, it looks up and looks right at us, and you could just tell the wild of the animal, the instinct kicked in to kill. Like it, I mean, it wanted to kill whatever killed its buddy. And I had the bolt and the crossbow, and I had nowhere to go because I was on the path and wide open. My dad and another guy were in the woods, and basically, I will say all hell broke loose. So at that point, the guy basically said, "Run." So, I mean, there was nowhere to go because it was all woods and the path, and he just goes, "Run like hell, and get behind trees." And she came through the woods barreling toward us, saw me because I was in the open, turned and came right at me, and I basically had nothing to do but jump into the woods and have like a 5-inch sapling in front of my chest that her head was up against. And I mean, I saw the nostrils flaring, and this is what gives me a little bit of PTSD. And I saw the nostrils flaring. I couldn't reach out and grab the horn. In fact, the guy's like, "You should just hung on to it," just had it rake you up and down the tree. And I didn't know what to do. Admittedly, I was in a state of shock for a half a second because I couldn't take my eyes off her and see where the other guys were because she was deciding what part of the tree to chase me down on. And so I gave her the option. She goes right or she goes left, and I'm going the opposite way. And when she went around the tree to the right, my assumption is probably was going to headbutt me and stomp me to death, whatever she's going to do. When she went right, I went right. And then she chased me from behind for a while. I was zigzagging out of trees. And then she saw the other guys moving down the hill, so she went after them. So my immediate reaction was to stop, take the safety off, turn around, and see what was going to happen because she was chasing those guys around trees for a while. And I thought, I'm the only guy with a weapon here that's able to maybe take this thing out if it's going to kill somebody. And my dad's down there, both a guy, both human lives, and I'm responsible for it. And, I watched her chasing for a while, and then eventually she kind of got tired and ran off in the woods. But I was fully prepared to shoot that second one if I had to. If it was going to get me on the ground and stomp him to death, I'd have had to do that. And it was like it was probably the most terrifying event I've actually ever had happen hunting. I've had white-tailed deer barrel at me, in the rut, like they're
Yep.
mad and they're ticked off, but it was hands down the most terrifying thing as a hunter I've actually had happen to have I don't know, 1,800-pound water buffalo pissed off, 1 foot in front of my face, wanting to run me down and kill me. I had nowhere to go. I was just stunned. I was actually stunned for a moment, thinking, well, this is the way I'm going to die. This is how I'm
Yeah.
going out. This is how I'm going out today. But thankfully, everyone was okay. She kind of went off in the woods eventually, and then we had a fantastic rest of the harvest where we got to watch them skin it and quarter it up, and then hang it in the dry age cooler. And I'll go back down this next Saturday and pick up the meat from
Nice. Yeah. So you just never know what to expect. I mean,
that. Oh yeah,
uh,
for sure.
animals are animals, and they'll get into their same habits of protecting themselves and stuff like that. I actually have a video on my one YouTube channel where I shot a fallow deer, and it basically died at my feet. Now, again, there's a big difference between a 180-pound fallow deer and a water buffalo,
Mhm.
but still, you just sit there and go, oh,
Still
what are
terrifying.
you, yeah, what are you gonna do, and what can I do? And then
Right.
when you realize that you're not in jeopardy anymore, but other people are, that the
Exactly.
other protective instinct
Yeah.
kicks in.
Yeah.
I've been to a few places where they had Watusi and some other stuff, and
Hmm.
you sit there and you got to constantly watch over your shoulder
You
because
do. You can't hear them coming.
yeah, you can't hear them coming. Then they're there and they see you and you see them, and you're like, okay, I got to have a plan. You got to
Right.
have a plan on where to go and what to do, because
For sure.
they're way bigger than I am, and you just you just try and play your cards right, because yeah, they're nothing to mess with and nothing to goof around
Absolutely.
with.
Well, I felt
So
somewhat I felt somewhat guilty too, because I was actually talking to my mom before this hunt, trying to get her to go with me, and dad on the
mm,
hunt. Obviously, I'm super glad that didn't happen. And
yeah,
I actually almost had my girlfriend go with us in the hunt. And I'm also glad that didn't happen, because I always love to involve people in the things we're doing and the hunts and the experiences for the adventure. Because it's not, like I said, we always talk about this. It's not about me. It's not about the broader. It's not about the kill. It's about the adventure of a lifetime. And I'm so thankful that dad and I got to have that hunt. But on the back end of this, like you said, there's a responsibility there too, that for a moment when I was off the side watching this happen, with a Raven loaded, I thought, I'm gonna have to do something here. And obviously, there are two guys running around in circles, and water buffaloes chasing them. And I knew that there was a possibility I was gonna have to make a really hard decision for a shot I didn't want to take. If that makes sense, you know?
yeah, yep. You just never know.
Yeah. Have you had any
It's
close calls? Like, have you had close calls with wild game or situations like just crazy that's happened to you?
I've had two different situations where I've had deer bucks that I've shot that have have tried to get up. One was on the first day of rifle season years ago, and about 9:30, I shot one, probably about 100 yards away with my /06, and it went straight down.
Mhm.
So I take your time, go over and put your gun against a tree, and you know reach down and grab it, and it starts growling at you, and trying to get up, and the gun's laying against the tree. That was the first one, and that was part of me not poking it, going, well, I saw it drop.
Right.
The second one was, the first year we moved into our house, I shot a buck across the road on the very last day, and we probably had, I don't know, 16 inches of snow on the ground. And it just so happened guys were doing a drive, and it came running by me, and I shot it twice, but I was using a 243, and I heard both bullets hit. And I got up and, followed the blood trail into the snow. Same thing, but this time I poked it, called my buddy who was gonna do a drive for me, and I said, "Hey, I shot this buck." I said, "You don't have to do the drive." He's like, "Well, I'll go get the tractor." And I turned around to look at the deer, and it was standing up looking at me.
Okay.
and it started to just, buck roar, and I
Ticked off.
and I yeah and I just made myself as big as possible, and I went and kind of lunged, at it,
Yeah.
and it turned and spun around, and I grabbed my 243 and I started running after it. And I ended up shooting it again. When I skinned it down, I had hit it twice, both times directly in the front shoulder, and it broke that shoulder down. But the neither of those bullets penetrated and went into,
Wow.
into the cavity. I mean, I just hit that shoulder twice
Yeah.
because I was sitting there laughing. Those are pretty good shots when they're about half an inch apart at a deer running. 243, I've killed a pile of deer with 243, but you're aiming right behind the front shoulder and blowing through the lungs and stuff. This one, I had knocked my 308 over in the garage and the scope was off. So
My God.
took the 243 out. But yeah, I mean, it's
Happens.
not a fun thing, because at that point in time, lay your gun against a tree or it's on your back or whatever, and you're
Right.
you're
You're
definitely
defenseless.
definitely at a disadvantage. So you can see where you
Absolutely.
can make mistakes and
Yeah.
think they're better than what they are. So
Well, and sometimes sometimes you don't realize that the choices you're making could cost you your life. Like in this case,
Mhm.
it didn't, but it could have. In any situation, you could die walking across the floor with a stainless steel, straw in a cup or something falling on it. But life's full of choices and chance. But I know I hunted bear, and I won't do this again. But I had a bear in Newfoundland, black bear, 400-pound black bear, and I was in a 3 foot tall old wooden stand with zero protection, no handgun, no bear spray, nada, but my bow and 3 arrows. And while I look back and I'm thankful that God kept me alive and I was good through that situation, I don't think I'd do that again. I think it's just it's a dangerous situation, like with the spot stalk. I think anytime in the future I do spot stalk hunting, it will probably primarily be with the crossbow. And I was going to talk about that anyway tonight a little bit because I'm starting to move the crossbow a little bit more just because my eye is reticle and pins on vertical bows. I'm starting to lose a little bit of depth with that. I notice with my phone as I age a little bit, I'm not to throw my age out there, but I'll still use the vertical bow all I can, but it's a little bit harder for me to see that reticle now and get those shots on. And I've hunted with it all my life, so it's kind of like it's a little bit of a I don't know, is an ego hit to switch to the crossbow, but also I understand that I probably at some point will need to do that. I know my dad has, and I know it doesn't last forever, but I know in the situations where I'm spot stalking, especially at distance, it will be probably a crossbow from now on to make sure that I can do it safely and not have to worry about people around me getting killed when I don't want to try to be a He-Man. You know what I'm saying? There's no reason to get 20 yards from that animal and try to be a He-Man with a vertical bow or a trap
Mhm.
bow and end up killing somebody. It's not worth it. And I'm gonna make that judgment call in respect to people's lives around me.
Yeah, I know in the past when I used to guide and do things and we do hog hunts and everything, I would always carry a 9 millimeter with me
Yeah,
because you can grab it and pull. I've never had to do that. I've um, never had to do that. Um, but it was always one of those things in the back of your mind.
it is for
You
sure.
can pull that sucker out, and you got 8 in the clip and 1 in the holster, or
Yeah,
however many you can stack, and
yeah, it'll do
at
something.
least you can do something. But
Yeah,
yeah, I mean, you're responsible for people around you, and you know with hogs especially,
yeah.
you wound one,
Get blood.
yeah, they're gonna back into somewhere, and the minute you're face on with them, they're coming.
Yeah,
And you better be ready, and having a I always carry a compound with me and stuff like that. But I know I can just drop that compound, grab that 9 millimeter, and just start
yeah. You have
unloading.
to.
Yep.
Well, it's
if
like
if you need to.
and the two other situations I've been in that were kind of dicey too was with Paul Romano hunting that moose, in Newfoundland. We tracked the blood to within probably 20 yards of where he was, and he wasn't dead yet, and got up. And man, he was real pissed when he got up, and he didn't have enough in the tank to get us, but he definitely could have crashed toward us and done something bad. And we only had a little few scrubby pines in front of us, so that was interesting. And then, like you
Mm-hmm.
talked about hogs, we actually did a hog hunt once where the sows were eating each other's babies, and they were like ripping
Mm-hmm.
each other's babies in half, blood everywhere. And it was like it was a maelstrom going on, and the guy's in the middle trying to separate everybody and not get
Yep.
eaten herself and that sort of thing. So it can turn into chaos real quick out there.
Yeah. In fact, we used to gut the hogs in particular spots, knowing the other hogs would come in and feed on the gut pile. And
Sure.
then we used to,
Yeah.
we would
Yeah.
plop people right there, be like, give it an hour or so and you'll have more hogs, you'll
Sure
have
enough.
more hogs come in. But
Yeah.
yeah, you just don't mess around. You just don't mess around with them.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
It's not
but
smart.
but even like our what's our dog breed? I don't know, the Yorkie poos or whatever we have, those little dogs we have. I can't remember what the breed is, but there's little things. And our son Easton will constantly he doesn't get it, get in their face. And I'm like, buddy, we love him to death. We train them,
Mm-hmm.
we want to respect us. But like at the end of the day, I'm sorry. I don't care who you are out there across the board. I love dogs and all animals, but like you got to respect that they are a wild animal, as domesticated as they are, and as respectful as they are to you. But it takes one trigger, one environmental trigger, or something that someone does or you do, and they immediately revert to a reaction that may not be intending to hurt you, but they're going to defend themselves. And sometimes they just react, and I'm afraid, like with our little pups, and this is, I think it's a good thing for parents out there everywhere. With our little pups, I mean, they could lay our son's face open and have a big scar down it in a half second, and you can't stop that. So I think it's important to teach people, not just with domesticated animals. I know growing up around beef cattle, you never trust an Angus cattle. Like you just never trust an Angus bull and what they're going to do. Just like any game animal we're out there pursuing, you never really want to trust them because they are wild. Wild or domesticated, they're still animals, right?
Yep. It said they're going to go back to their animal instinct.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I think from what I've heard, the meat's really good from this. We'll go down next Saturday. I'm going to take the kids down. We're going to pick this up. We did a great job down there. It was, I will say that, it's a Double D Ranch down in South Ohio, but they are two great guys. The guy was awesome. The processing was quick. It was hot out that day. So what we did is we got the tractor down to the meat locker real quick. We field dressed it up by the pond, got it down to the cold house, and then they hung it up by the tractor, front end loader, skinned it real quick, and then went ahead and quartered it, washed it out right in front of us, made sure it was nice and clean, and then hung it right in a locker to age for about 8 to 10 days before I pick it up this next weekend. So I'm excited to try the steaks and the ground and give out to family and let people understand that, like, this is what hunting is. It's not the kill. It's not just the fun of the adventure. It's providing for people, feeding people in an age where I'm sure you talk to people every day, Brian. People are having a hard time making ends meet. I'm talking paying bills, the basic necessities of life, paying your mortgage. And when it comes to feeding your family, when you have kids, I have all kinds of people I know that I'm going to give this meat out to, just because I want to be here to help at the end of the day. I'm a giver way more than I'm a taker in life, and I firmly believe in that. And I think that shows people the heart that you truly have to help people out and keep those food bills down, but also provide great meat for them.
Yeah. Yep. That's for sure. And it's that's a lot. That's a lot of meat.
It's a lot of meats. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. It's like, so we get a quarter of a cow every year, and we end up putting it in 2 freezers. So
yeah, my parents just bought one.
I can't imagine what a whole water buffalo is gonna.
Well, my parents have a brand new vertical freezer coming in tomorrow from Lowe's at about 4:00. So I got to hang around to help put it in the basement. They've already got one. They bought a brand new upright freezer to keep a lot of the meat in. I've got a chest freezer at home I just bought, and we're going to try to divide it up that way. But like I said, we'll give a ton away just because I believe in that, and definitely helping people out. I think if we could be the hands and feet, honestly, like, and this is not a promotion of religion, but if we could be the hands and feet of Jesus Christ on this planet and show people who he really was by doing good things for people and not telling people what to do, I think that's going to reach a whole lot more people, because at the end, love wins, man.
Yep. Yes, it certainly does.
Absolutely. So what's going on other than that? Like in the summer with you, you've got the 5-point cams out, getting good picks, and what are you planning on? Just getting stands up pretty soon?
Yeah, probably next week, start getting stands up, checking on food plots. I just, I just put down some soil defender from Killer Food Plots this week, and actually last week, and probably second week of August, I'll get my brassicas in and get some oats in.
Awesome.
Knock on wood, we've been getting rain every week. We just had some more today. It's supposed to rain all day tomorrow. You know, some of my stuff is coming really good. Some of my other stuff not so good, but trying to get food plots in the middle of a woods, getting the soil right, getting everything is, it's a
Sure.
work in progress. In my mind, I have
Yeah.
what I want the plots to look like.
Yep.
It'll probably take 3 years for that to come to fruition. But really, this is my busy time of year. We're getting started with high school soccer here,
Yep.
and
Sports, marching
going back
band,
to
football.
going back to school and everything. So I got kind of like a 2-3 week window here to kind of get a bunch of stuff taken care of. Some more cameras up, mock scrapes out. I just got some of my gland lore head scratcher this week, so I've been promoting that stuff, and not a whole lot of big bucks around my area so far yet this year. Like I said, they killed 13 of the 15 we had on camera last year, so it's
come on down to Ohio. We'll get you on some.
good. Yeah, it could be a slow year, so
yeah,
we'll have to wait and see.
Absolutely. Well, I'll tell you what, Brian, thanks for coming out tonight. I know Kevin, I think, is doing some vacationing stuff or out with the family doing something. So again, we're going to keep it real with the Reinvent podcast. Sometimes we have guests on, sometimes, Brian and I are on, sometimes Kevin and I are on. And we're actually looking forward to next week. I believe next week, Big Shot Targets is coming on with Hunter representing them. So that should be really cool to talk about Big Shot Targets next week. So if you're out there and you're listening, like, share, subscribe, give us a review. And this is episode 24 of the Reinvent podcast. Thanks, Brian.
Thank you. Have a good one.
You too.